The Lich. One creature that has always grabbed my attention has been the Lich. A Lich is a type of undead or reanimated corpse. A Lich looks like a living skeleton with various levels of decay depending on the number of years they have been a Lich. What makes the Lich special from other undead mindless zombies is the Lich still remains their intellect and memories from their past life. Well, at least at the beginning anyway. A Lich isn't just born out of the blue. There are certain conditions that have to be met, and rituals that have to be performed in order to become a Lich. The rituals necessary are often complex and require knowledge of very old/arcane magic. One who wishes to become a Lich would usually get the information about the rituals from an evil source. Becoming a Lich is an extremely selfish, arrogant, and cowardly thing to do. Most Liches were sorcerers, clerics, and/or clergymen, usually somebody with a large amount of spiritual energy or magical power. They would forsake their mortality in exchange for the opportunity to continue to practice, study, and perfect their spellcasting. While being a formidable foe for any would-be hero, Liches were at their most dangerous when they had time to prepare and set up traps. Liches are also known for being very adept at necromancy or reanimating the dead. In fact, a Lich would prefer to have its army of underlings fight in its place. That way they could continue to do other things, like set up more traps or study their magic. Although Liches are often seen as evil creatures, the real nature of a Lich is neither good nor bad, but rather a matter of opinion. Because a Lich gave up their attachments to the mortal world, most of their actions are incomprehensible to the living. In most situations, a Lich is minding their own business, studying their craft, when a warrior or priest attempts to exorcise them. It is said that because a Lich gives up their mortality in pursuit for things like magical power, greater understanding of the world, and immortality, they often lose their memories over time, which leads them to becoming more and more obsessed with the things they gave up their humanity for. This in turn could lead a Lich to some very malicious behavior. However, if you can find out a Lich's name, you may be able to control it, forcing the powerful undead to do your bidding. In a lot of situations, a Lich is considered to be the most powerful undead. A Lich from pop culture that has been instrumental in the main character's story is the Lich from Adventure Time. The Lich, as it's called, has an insane obsession with eradicating all life in Ooh. Although Finn has defeated the Lich time and time again, it always returns in some way, usually in the form of possessing one of the other characters. This Lich is more of the extermination of all life type, unlike the Lich from Dragon's Dogma. In the show Dragon's Dogma, the Lich is just one of many strong monsters the protagonist has to overcome. This Lich isn't concerned with all life being eliminated, it's more worried about its investments. The Lich in Dragon's Dogma is very greedy and has an entire dungeon of gold to itself. It uses hordes of mindless undead to defend its stash. This Lich has another ability as well. From all the years of hoarding a treasure it would never be able to use, it infected the gold. Anyone foolish enough to covet the Lich's bounty would become a new Lich. So both Liches are pretty much still bad no matter how you look at it. What about an example of a benevolent Lich? One who helps instead of hurts. I'm referring to the Lich from Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon, otherwise known as Fells the Fool. Fells is a very powerful character in this series and even has some very important scenes where, if not for his intervention, the protagonist and side characters would not have survived. Fells speaks of himself as being the fool for attempting a very powerful spell, only to be cursed and forced into his new role as a Lich. However, In a time of crisis, Fels performs the very same spell that he attempted when he was alive, only this time, Fels is able to get the result he wanted. The spell is related to necromancy, but could be argued that it was just a very powerful healing spell. All three of these liches have very similar abilities and appearances. However, one is outright evil, one is good, and the other is indifferent. Would you ever consider becoming a lich? Is the promise of eternal life and the opportunity to gain more power worth it? Sounds like a bad deal to me, but what do I know? I'm just the narrator.